All right, so we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CAS 360 Singapore Level 2 session. My name is Jennifer. I'm the account manager for BGL Singapore, and I'm also going to be the trainer for today's Level 2 session as well. So again, a gentle reminder, this session is recorded, and all the questions, all the attendees in the session will be on mute. So if you have any questions, kindly post your questions on the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. I'm also reposting one more time the link for today's session. So for those of you who have just logged in, kindly refer to the webinar chat. So along the way as well, I'll be sharing useful tips and tricks that's not mentioned in the level 2, and also the links along the way so you can use it as a reference and also bookmark the sessions and the links as well. All right, so for this level 2 session, we're going to cover more on some of the advanced features in CAS 360. So for those of you who've attended my level 1 session on Tuesday, so I've covered more on the basics of the software, which includes how you manage your data information, from adding in information, editing the records, to generating the documents like your simple documents. So for now, this session, I'll cover more on the advanced session, which will cover on level 1. The lesson 1 will be reports. So we do have different types of reports available in CAS 360, which includes your company listing reports. We're also going to learn how to generate a report that's pertaining to a contact's information. We call it the people group reports, and also learn how to generate a full company register set if you want to generate the full register set for a company. So lesson number 2 will cover on streamline your annual returns. So we'll learn how to control and manage your corporate compliance through our tools and prepare your annual return filing process. We're also going to learn how to do some of the prerequisites that needs to be done before you prepare your annual returns to make sure that all the details are correct and true. Lesson number 3 will cover more on the annual returns itself, which includes preparation of the AGM documents, and also we'll touch on a bit of XBRL. So in CAS 360, we do have the ability to help you process your XBRL or prepare your XBRL using our CAS 360 XBRL tool, which can be downloaded as you launched your XBRL. Lesson number 4 will cover in multi-company changes. So this tool has the ability for you to prepare multiple documents for multiple companies where the change is the same. So in this section, we'll do an exercise on how do we change a registered office address to multiple companies and multiple contacts, and also how do we do a bulk change of officer status to multiple companies as well. Lesson number 5 will be your digital signing. So we're going to talk a little bit more in the sec of setting up your digital signing and how do we prepare documents seamlessly using your digital signing integrated into your CAS 360 settings. So this lesson will provide you an overview of how do we document, or rather prepare your documents with your customized templates. So we'll learn how to customize your documents in CAS 360 and also your email templates. And along the way in settings, we'll also cover a little bit more topic on your freeform documents, and also how do we do a automated bulk reminder for key dates like your annual returns and AGM under your settings as well. All right, so I'm just going to quickly change here. So again, a reminder, we do have this manual posted on your Q&A section, so you can use this as a reference as well as we go through along the demonstration of each topics. So the first topic that I'm going to go through is your reports. So again, just to give you a bit of a recap of the whole dashboard of CAS 360. So on the left-hand side will be your navigation toolbar, so you can toggle and switch to different features right over here, and top right corner will be your resource hub. So if you ever get stuck with some of the features and how-tos, you can always go to our help guide and click Singapore Help. This will bring you to your Singapore support CAS 360 support guide, which will help you with different contents pertaining to different how-tos like documents, reports, company changes, and so on. So going back to your CAS 360, so reports can be found in the B section over here in your navigation toolbar. And when you click on it, this will bring you to different types of standard reports that can be easily generated within CAS 360. So the first report that we're going to learn how to generate is what we call the company report. So company report gives you a company summary of the company that you want to generate. And this can be found under your company reports. So in the reports, you have the ability to also adjust the settings of what kind of content that you want to display. So we had two types of filters. One is report filters and the other one is report settings. So report filters allow you to categorize your report based on, let's say, your jurisdictions. If you want to just select a Singapore company, you can also select based on the filing agent if you have a multiple UEN or multiple corp sect that you're handling at the moment and you want to filter that in, you can simply filter that. Or you can also put all. So I'm just going to put it by default. You can also generate based on report dates. If there are any backdated reports that you want to generate, you can simply adjust that in. I will stick to today's report. So as of today, so any changes that happen as of today will reflect on my report based on company status as well. If I do not wish to edit my strike off company, you can simply remove that in. So once you deselect that options, you can see that in my filtered list from 67 to 63 companies. So I have a couple of companies that have already strike off within the list as well. You also have your current clients only positions. So by default, it only displays your current officers. But if you want to display historical transaction, including the ones that have resigned or removed or no longer with that company, you can simply select all labels. So again, if you recall the labels, this is to allow you to categorize or show list of companies based on that label. So if you want to, let's say I want to only see companies under CorpSec A, you can see that there are 20 companies in that particular label. Otherwise, you can just select all as well and download as combined files. So if you are downloading a multiple companies, it will download a single PDF format for each of the report. So here in this exercise, we're going to generate one of the reports. So here again, you can simply just type in the company that you'd like to generate. So I'm going to select CAS 360 Singapore. And before I generate the report, I can also change the information that I want to display in my report. So I can control that under my report settings. So in the report settings, you have the ability to adjust what you want to display on your reports, right? So for example, I've got my company details over here. I can display my public officers. And each of these, you will see some of these options, they have what we call advanced options. So you have much more granular control on what you can display on the report. So for example, over here in my company officers, I can select what information of that company officer that I can choose not to display in my report. So here I have adjust my settings. I do not wish to display the date of birth of that particular contacts on particular officer. So this has been switched off. So if you want to enable a kind of information to display in your report, you simply need to switch on the toggle button over here. If you're not able to see the information on the report, you simply go to your report settings to check whether you have switched on the toggle button correctly as well. So you see that all those that are switched on, toggled on, the information will display on my reports. Now that I have set my settings and I've selected which information I want to display on my report, I can simply select export as a PDF or Word, and I can just export it out onto a PDF format. So you can see here, based on my report settings, it displays my company details, my company address, company officers. I've also displayed, earlier on, I've selected I want to display those officers or office positions that are no longer there. So it's not just the current one, but also the ones that are past or historical positions, members, registrable controller, and business activity. And again, the company report will be based on as of today's date. If you wish to, again, backdate your reports, you can always change in the report date. So this is how we generate a company report. Now, another very useful report that you can generate in CAS 360 is what we call a people group report. So people group report is quite similar to your company report. So instead of displaying the company information on a company level, this people group report allows you to display information that you've recorded for a particular contact. Again, similarly, we have your report filters, report settings to help you identify, or rather to help you adjust what kind of information of that contact you want to display for report. So here I've got my, again, this is a lot more lesser information. So you can do a backdate if you wish to display older data. Otherwise, you can simply change this position and holdings as well. And in report settings, you can see that I've already have a couple of items that I want to display. If I do not wish to add in some information over here, again, I can just simply remove some of my information. So if I do not wish to show my lawyer, event, these ones, I don't want to show my liquidator, I can switch off this information. So you can see we have full information that you can adjust as well. Some may be not related for Singapore, as this report will generate applies to all across jurisdictions as well. So once I've done that, I click Save, and I can simply export into PDF or Excel, or rather Word. So I haven't selected once. I'm going to just select one of my companies, or rather I'll type in person. I'll select myself as I have more information there. And again, you can see that depending on the settings that I have adjusted in my report settings, it will display the information in my people group report. So that's for people group reports. You can see that I have quite a number of office holdings and relationship with different companies. I'm also a registrable controller, so that will display into my people group report. Now, the next report that we can generate in your report settings is what we call our full company register set. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to generate your registers based on a specific position. So let's say, for example, you have your registered officers and you want to know all the registered officers for either a single company or multiple companies that you've selected. But there's also an option where it allows you to generate a full set, which includes all these registers that you have set up or maintained for that particular company. And this is what we call the full company register set. So similarly, we have different report filters available for you, which includes your report date, your labels, agents, and so on. And again, similarly, you can display or select which registers that you like to include in your register set. So for example, over here, I've switched on debentures and charges. I don't want to include that in my full set of registers. So I've just switched off that particular section there. So again, you can control what you want to display. So for Singapore, quite particularly, I want to display my registrable controllers nominee and shareholders. I've switched off some that's not really my interest in my report, so I can just select that. And again, we have options. So here in this particular report, you have the option to either save this full set into a single PDF per company. So what that it means is that when you generate these reports, it will be a single PDF file. Now, on the other hand, if you select multiple PDFs per company, what it means is that for each register set for the company, it will segregate the PDF files based on the per registers. So if I'm going to select these, for example, so again, I have to select a company. And I select this option. Right, so what's going to happen is you will receive a notification. You will be notified through your notification icon when the files are ready for download. Simply click on OK. And here on your bell icon over here, this will notify you that the register is ready to be downloaded. So instead of a PDF file, because I've selected multiple PDFs per company, I were to open it, for example. So I'm just going to quickly show you how it looks like. It will display something like this. So instead of a single PDF for all the registers in one single PDF, it will separate your registers based on each positions. So that's for your company, full company register set. Right, so that's for lesson number 1. Before I move on to the next topic, any questions particularly on the reports topic? All right, so I've come through, there's a question to come through. I'll answer this in a later one when at the end of the session. So the next topic I'm gonna go through will be your annual returns. So the annual returns, you have the ability to prepare annual returns in CAS 360. And this can be found in your returns tool. Now, before you prepare the annual returns, there are a couple of practices that needs to be done in order for you to have a much more accurate annual returns and AGM information. So the first topic that I want to go through in this lesson is your annual return, your AGM meeting minutes on AGM, annual general meeting, and annual return alerts that can be found in your company tab. So when you select the company in your main dashboard, you'll see the arrow next to this section over here. By clicking that arrow, that will help you expand what we call the advanced filters. In the company selection category, you will see that on the left-hand side, you have your alert filters. So I mentioned in level 1, the advanced alert allows you to filter down what kind of alerts available for that specific jurisdiction. So good practice if you're managing a Singapore company is to simply select, filter, and select Singapore. And this will not only filter down Singapore-only companies, but it will also filter down the alerts available specific to that selected jurisdiction. So for example, here in Singapore, we have your AGM, and you also have your annual returns. So by selecting that particular filter, it will filter down the companies based on that alert. So for this case, it shows to me all the 31 companies. And each of these alert, it will have a sub-alert under that category. So in this case, for AGM alert, you have your financial year end date approaching, AGM due, and AGM due past. Similarly, for your annual returns, you can see that I have 18 annual return alerts under this category, and you can just filter based on that. So I have 16 data passed, so which means I have not done anything for this company. So what you'll notice that each of a specific alert will have a color coding. And to recognize or to understand a little bit more how to identify which alert, you can simply point your mouse under the alerts, and this will give you a description of what each of this color represents. So for example, financial year end date will be a lavender purple color. This alert will be based on the financial year end date approaching within 30 days. You have your AGM due to be held, annual return due to be processed, and so on. So if you're in your manual right now, if you actually scroll all the way to the manual, so I'm just gonna go quickly to the manual section. You can see that on the page 14 onwards, it will give you a description of what each of these alerts represents. So highly recommend you, if you have the time, do read through what exactly this particular alert represents and where is this information coming from. So for example, I'm just going to go back over here. This section is, so there's a very two interesting ones. That's just going to go here, over here. So I'm just going to show to you this section over here called process not filed and process not filed by overdue. So what is the difference between these two? So process not filed is essentially when you export out the AGM documents and annual return from CAS 360, the system automatically recognizes that you've processed the annual returns and AGM for that company. However, because we do not have the filing at the moment, we don't have the lodgement process has been disabled due to ACRA's decision. We are not able to do the full process of lodgement within the software for now. Process not filed, on the other hand, is essentially when you process or generate the documents out of CAS 360, but not filed and it's already overdue. It means that nothing has been done after you've exported the document. So most of the time you will notice that you've exported out the document, it's processed, not filed. And there are times that it will be labeled as processed, not filed overdue, which means it's already past the annual return. So the quick way to actually change this and to update this is to go to your returns tab. So I'm going to do an example for this. I'll go back again to alerts. So we use one of the example over here, this company, 18 October firm. So if I were to go to my returns tool over here and I type in 8 October, you can see that nothing has been prepared. It's processed, not filed. You can simply select as mark as filed. So if you already did the annual return lodgements and the AGM documents, you can simply upload the copy in this section to prompt the system that you already made the filing for this company. So here you will see it will disappear. And if I were to go back to my company tab and select annual returns, you can see that that company is no longer on my list. So this is quite a common scenario when you know that you've already prepared the documents, but the system still prompts you that it's processed and not filed and it's already overdue, the AGM. All right. So always make sure to change mark as filed. This is to prompt the system and to notify them that this process has already been done. So I'll go back to the alerts. And what you'll notice also in every alert, so for example, over here, I've got my AGM due date already passed. As you point onto the alert and click onto the alert, you will also be shown a recommended corporate actions that needs to be done specifically to this alert. So in this case, because it's an AGM due date that's already passed, the system will recommend you to prepare the AGM documents or apply for extension, exempt from sending or dispensing or holding in AGM. Or if you already process it outside of CAS 360, or you've already prepared those documents, you can just send a reminder. So in this way, this is a very powerful tool that allows you to keep track of what you need to be done for the company in relation to their alerts or their key dates. All right, so that's for your advanced filters and alert filters. Any questions so far for this particular feature? So if you have any questions, again, kindly post it on a Q&A and I can actually go through it as well. So the next topic in this lesson will be company listing report. So company listing report allows you to filter the company based on the company name, number, incorporation, key dates, agents, and label. So we're going to go back to this tool again under reports and select company listing. Company listing is a very good report to help you keep track or generate a report format about the key dates for all your companies. Similar to other reports, you have a report filter. So here you can also adjust the report order, whether it's based on the annual return or company name. You've also got your annual review. So here I've just adjusted based on 1st of Jan until the end of the year. And I'll select as it is. So I'll keep all this filter. Otherwise, you can also select whether you want to remove any companies that's already strike off. And you can expand out, let's say, for any, again, labels. So it's quite similar to the other reports as well, but the only difference is that it allows you to generate based on the report order and the annual return, annual review periods. And in your report settings, you can see over here, I've got maximum of 9 options currently to display in my report. So with the report of company listing, you can only display a maximum of 9 columns within the report. Otherwise, it's going to be too cramped within one single report. So here I'm just going to remove some of the features. You can see over here, I've got company type, company status, and I've also display and switch on the toggle button for my key dates. So I'm gonna go back over here. If I were to scroll the way up, you can see that you have the ability to adjust which key dates that you want to display in the report. So here I've switched on my financial year end date. I've switched off my incorporation, but I want to display my financial year end, my AGM date, previous AGM, return dates, and the last file date for annual returns. So go back to my downloaded. So I've just downloaded the company listing. And you can see over here that it will list down the companies, and based on the filter of columns that I've selected to display on my reports, it will show my financial year end, previous AGM, and annual returns. So generally, you will see AGM date over here. So as long as you have the records in your general details, these dates will display in these columns. So how do you know that you have keyed in the information correctly? Is simply going to your general details. So if I were to select a company, for example, all the company key dates that I've switched on to display in my report is coming from this company dates over here. So if these information are not up to date, it will display in the reports. So it's a very important practice to make sure that you put in the up-to-date dates so that in the report will be up to date. Now, a quick tip for best practice, this report, the company listing report, is a very useful report that allows you to keep track whether the key dates that you've keyed in for the company as of today are correct. If there are mismatches, for example, or not up to date, this report will show you if there are dates that are not up to date. So it's a very good and useful report when you're doing your housekeeping of your data. Right, so that's for company listing. Any questions so far for the company listing? All right, so if there's no questions, so we're going to learn how to generate a change of company status in CAS 360. So this particular step is very important as well prior to generating and preparing annual returns and HM. So when there's a company change, you must make sure that you've processed it within the software before preparing the annual returns. This is important because any changes that happens, it will reflect close to the date or the date of your annual returns and AGM. So a good example will be the company status. Let's say I go to my 14th October, for example. So the one that we've created, and see if I'm here. So we've created this earlier on. Now, you can see that I've got my company status and active, and I have my company type. Let's say the company has changed its status to a small group company, for example. So when you're changing the company status under the status sections, all these changes will reflect to your annual returns and AGM. So these actions needs to be done before you can even generate the annual returns. Whatever information that has been updated in company status will also affect the type of questionnaires and declarations that you need to be done in your annual return filing process. So if you change that to small group company, you can just click save. So I'm just going to select this company over here. And you can see when you prepare the documents, under prepare documents, it will change the questionnaires right over here. So you can see, because I've selected the company as a small company exempted from audit, based on the company status I have saved. So if I were to go back again and I go to my 14th company, and switch this to same, and I switch this to, let's say, a dormant company, for example. So any information that I have stored and saved in my general details will reflect on my annual return questionnaire process. So again, I'll go back to my returns. I select the same company, Morton Cherry, select prepare documents, and you can see that the questionnaire has changed to dormant company exempted. And because it's a dormant company, it will have additional questions, whether if the company is a dormant relevant company exempted from financial statement. So these practice is very important when you are preparing annual returns, so that you are preparing a much more accurate declaration in your annual return in CAS 360. Now, going back to the company status change. So here, I'll just select an example as well on how we can change the status to a strike-off. So similarly, select the company, and here under general details, you can locate and change the status by clicking on the drop-down option and select strike-off. By selecting strike-off, automatically the prepare forms will be enabled. To prepare the document, simply click prepare forms, and you will go through the whole questionnaires. Let's say no company has not started any business or operation. I need to make sure that all these informations have been completed. And you can select prepare documents. So when you're striking off a company, simply change the status and go through those questionnaires, and automatically CAS 360 will produce the documents pertaining to that company status change, which for this case, a strike-off. So here you can see that I have my members' minutes and resolutions. I've also got my applications for strike-off. And I have my director minutes and resolutions as well. Now, the whole workflow in CAS 360 is that when you generate a document out of the system will automatically apply the official change for the company. So for this case, this 18 April training company, if I were to download the documents, automatically it will apply the strike off for this company. So just take note of that. So close this. Again, this information will be saved into my general details on my documents. And if I were to go back to my company selection list and type in 18 April, you can see now that the company has been strike-offed. So this is how we changed a company status in CAS 360. All right, so any questions so far for this particular topic or lesson number 2? Right, if there's no question, we're going to proceed with your lesson number 3, which is your annual return filing process, AGM documents, and XBRL. So the first topic that we're going to go through is your XBRL. Now, in your navigation toolbar, we're going to select this calendar icon over here called Returns. For CAS 360 Singapore, by default, it will select your Singapore Annual Returns tab. If you're managing other jurisdictions, we do have different jurisdiction available as well. It's part of your license. But by default, Singapore annual returns will be automatically selected for CAS 360 Singapore users. So give you a bit of a quick overview of the annual return page. Again, on the left-hand side of the page will be your filters. You got your annual return filter in here, comparison reports, and labels. Now, comparison reports, these ones are currently disabled at the moment. This is one of our big integration with Accra, but currently, as you know, that Accra has changed some of their piling process or even their BIS file. This is currently switched off at the moment. Comparison report, just to give you a bit of a idea or a summary, is that comparison report allows you to compare your database inside CAS 360 with Accra. And if there are any failures, for example, this is a good example of that. It will show you which part of your data did not match up with Accra's database. So at the moment, this is disabled as Accra, we no longer have access to Accra. They're changing the whole workflow. So do look out for that in the next couple of releases. This is something that we are working on with Accra. Hopefully they can release that out next year. And so I'm gonna go back to my main page. Is at the filter, and it'll filter back. So you can see that I have 35 annual returns overdue, which means I haven't filed them. And here, under my annual returns financial year end date filter, you can filter based on the financial year end date. So if I were to just filter based on, let's say, 225, you can see that the list has been shortened as well. So I'm just going to select one of my demo list over here. So that's pretty much like how the annual return page looks like. Now, in your Singapore annual returns in CAS 360, you will notice that each of these companies have this button called options. The option allows you to do different actions, whether mark as file, as you mentioned earlier on, if the company you've already marked as file, you generate the documents, but it still shows up that it's overdue, you can simply mark as file. So this example right here, this is still overdue, for example, and you know that you've already filed this mark as filed, you can simply upload your supporting documents and click save. I'll use another company. So also do take note that when you key in the file dates, make sure that you type in the actual annual return file date that you file for that company. The reason being is because that date, so if I'll do an example over here, if I were to just go back to my one of that company that I've marked as file, that was the cherry company. You can see that if I were to expand the command, go to my general details, and I expand my company dates, you can see that the annual return last filed will reflect as today's date. So make sure that when you're going through the mark as filed, always input the correct or accurate annual return file date. This will automatically calculate the next filing date as well. So also something to take note, the annual return last filed will be recorded, but the financial year end date will not automatically change. So make sure currently right now, we'll need to update this or manually input the correct information so that you know that this will calculate correctly. So if I were to, for example, over here, it will change your annual return due date, calculated accordingly based on the financial year end date that you've input. So I'll go back to my returns page over here. All right. So before we processed your annual return documents, you must make sure that you've already processed or prepared the annual your XBRL. So a lot of the users are in the service, either you outsource it to the accounts team or another service provider process those documents for you. Anyway, if they have access into the XBRL, these features and functions can be found in your option tab. So because at the moment I don't have any actual XBRL file, but I'm just going to give you a bit of an idea how it will look like. So under option, you will see prepare XBRL financial statement. So by default, when you're first starting with XBRL, so I'm just going to give you here. So a few things to take note for XBRL. By default, it will prompt you to download your XBRL. So when you're first starting this using our XBRL tool. So prerequisite or things that you need to make sure before you can even prepare the XBRL. So I'll just go over here. This section. So this one is very, very important if you're preparing XBRL. So one of the few things that you need to make sure is that you download the latest version. Okay, when you click onto this manual, this will allow you to open a link and download the file. So upon clicking that link, it will download a zip file, which helps you to run an installation of the XBRL tool onto your computer. You also have to ensure that the user who is processing your XBRL has the ability to download this file and also have the ability to access XBRL. So how do we know if this user has this particular role settings? So as an account owner, you need to make sure that the user role that you have assigned to your staff member has XBRL functions in it, or it has the ability to even prepare XBRL. So to do that, go to your app switcher, users. Let's say I am the account owner, I am the manager, and one of my staff member is responsible for preparing XBRL. So here I will check in my admins, role settings. If my accountant is the person preparing the XBRL, I need to make sure that this toggle button over here has been switched off. If the toggle button has been switched off and your staff member or colleague that has the accountant role doesn't have is using this particular role type and XBRL has been switched off, even if he has this role type, as long as this is switched off, he will not be able to prepare those documents. So this particular step is very important at the beginning when you're assigning a role to a staff member, preparing the XBRL for your team or for yourself. Make sure to switch on the toggle button. So another thing to also take note is that you need to make sure the UAN number is accurate and true. That all the records in your XBR, in your general details are accurate. Otherwise, when you run a XBRL, you will face some errors as well. That's not related to the XBRL itself, but rather related to the data. So always make sure these informations are true and correct. Your, again, general details, the XBRL that you're preparing are up to date. You have the registered filing agent. You have all the key dates on the current XBRL that you're preparing, and all the company status are correct as well. Lastly, so here, also ensure the filing agent is correct. You can see that we've mentioned this earlier. This is particularly important because it will determine how you prepare your XBRL. It will also determine what kind of declaration that will appear in your annual return, particularly the location of the registrable controllers and your nominee directors. So I'll show this in a while, in a second. Now, last thing is that for annual returns, currently CAS 360 XBRL runs on the Windows user. What that means is that if you are using a Apple, for example, or my other OS operating system to do your processes for XBRL, particularly using our XBRL tool, it will not actually run correctly. So it does not run on a Windows operating system. So make sure that your operating system is Windows, otherwise you'll not be able to install this preparation tool. The preparation tool is very similar to Accra. Accra provides their own preparation tool for all the users, and CAS 360, we do provide this preparation tool free for all our users as well. All right. So going back to my CAS 360 and over here, so I'm going to show to you how we prepare our XBRL using our XBRL tool. So hope everybody can see the video. So in the options tab, you'll see prepare XBRL financial statement. When you already install it successfully, you can simply open XBRL, and this will launch your CAS 360 XBRL tool. So all this information that you're seeing, these are information that is recorded in your general details. So here the user is using a full XBRL on the company level. And this is the default settings that will display in your reports. in your XBRL. And also, depending on the year that you're working on, it will display those years as well. If you are using, or if you have your XBRL, for example, so I'm just going to pause this for a second. So quite common is that some of the companies, existing company, already have a past record of their XBRL from the last year. So if you do have that file, you can simply upload it onto our XBRL preparation tool as a continuation or a balance forward for this year's XBRL. So what the user is using right now is essentially uploading the XBRL file. So you can see on the left-hand side of the screen that based on the file that has been uploaded, it will automatically change to simplified XBRL. So earlier on, the default settings is full XBRL, but this particular file that has been uploaded, this is from another year. It has our XBRL tool reads what data files recorded in that XBRL file that has been uploaded. So you can see the year has been changed. Earlier on, it was 2020 to 21. The key dates has changed to 2018 to 2017. So these are also the historical records from that XBRL file as well. So now the user runs and click on validate and upload. And what it does is that CAS 360 XBRL will send a signal to Accra's database for XBRL to run on the background in real time to validate the XBRL. So our XBRL tool is actually linked to Accra's database on the annual return records and XBRL records. So it's running a real time, and it would check if there's any error that didn't match up with Accra's record. So you can see over here an example that this particular record, it shows that validation is failed. There are some genuine errors and needs to amend and run the validation. So you can click the download the validation report. This validation report is coming from Accra themselves to show to you what were the genuine and possible errors that they found in that XBRL data. So here the user will go back to the XBRL and you can download a PDF copy of the XBRL that you prepared using the CAS 360 XBRL tool. So it will show to you a report of what you have prepared within the XBRL. So here the user will go back to the XBRL preparation tool and will do the necessary amendments or changes, and she will run another round of validation to ensure that the genuine error has been corrected. So they spotted, as you can see, the user is changing the current date, the current period, and the prior period as well to a correct information. So after amending the records in the XBRL tool, you can run another validation report. And again, this will send a prompt to CAS database to run the XBRL check and see if there are any more errors found in the XBRL file. Once it does the validation and there's no error found, you can see validation is successful, no errors as found. You can also download the updated version of the XBRL copy report. So this once you have the PDF copy, and you can send this off to your client as well if you wish to, or for your record. And you can see right over here is I confirm that the XBRL data is accurate and complete. So initially, previously, we are able to upload this XBRL file back to CAS 360 because previously we do have the lodgement process of annual return, which allows you to not only file your annual return to ACRA, but also attach the XBRL. So here, when you go to the company and you prepare the documents, ultimately it will download the XBRL financial statement simplified XBRL. So that's how we prepare XBRL in CAS 360. So I'm just going to close this in. So do another example of here, just to give you a bit of idea as well. So this is not a live company, but this is essentially how it usually looks like. Again, this will prompt me if you don't have an XBRL installed yet, it will prompt you to install the XBRL onto your computer. You can always go to this page 26 of the level 2 manual to download and install the preparation tool onto your computer. So when you start using XBRL, the first thing that you will receive and see is this CAS 360 XBRL authorization. So because for security reason, we need to make sure that you have the rights to access to the financial statement and XBRL tool. You'll need to key in your CAS 360 username and also generate the token. Now, one of the few requisite as well is this Tinko XBRL token key. Make sure that the user that has the role of accountant or has a role that allows them to access to XBRL financial statement has the ability to generate the key. So I'm going to go back to my CAS 360. To do that, simply go to your app switcher, users, role settings. Let's say you've used the role setting as an accountant for those who are preparing the XBRL. And you also need to make sure this key is enabled, XBRL financial and migration tool. So that when the person who has this admin rights to prepare XBRL And when they go to their users page, they can simply click on admin and select token to generate the XBRL token. So here you can see that if I were to go to my XBRL, for example, it will show to me that my XBRL is no longer valid. So I need to go back to my users page, admin token management to generate the token again. It will show to me that it's valid until 15th of November. It will be valid for 1 month. Simply copy, go back to XBRL, remove the old code. So here I'm just gonna remove the old code, paste the new one, and run the validate. After run the validate, you see that financial statement for companies in CAS 360 firms. So it will display your company's name. And all you need is to make sure to confirm the firms listed above is true and correct. So make sure that this company is your client. After which, this will allow you to enter the XBRL preparation tool. You can simply click prepare, click new, and this will allow you to prepare your XBRL. So you can see I've uploaded that file and it shows to me my copy over here. If I want a new one, a fresh one, if I open another file, for example, over here, you can see that the UN does not match. So if you selected not a right company, automatically XBRL will also notify you that you selected the wrong XBRL file that didn't match up to this company over here. So you can see this is the file, this is the company I'm working on. But if I were to upload another file, because it's not accurate, you can see this is the error that shows. Right, so that's for XBRL in CAS 360. Now, just going to close this back. Again, before anything, you can explore different settings. You can generate a report. Whether you want the AGM copy or XBRL summary. And if you want to do a balance forward of these, you can also do a balance forward for the existing record for the next XBRL filing. All right. So I'm just going to quickly, any questions for XBRL? Now, I do have a much more detailed description over here. I'm just going to quickly share it to the link, as this is a much more longer XBRL content. So for any questions, if you want to have a much more comprehensive XBRL, this is a lot longer than my session right now. It's more 45 minutes. You can refer to our YouTube link that I've put in the webinar chat. It will explain a little bit more details on how we prepare the XBRL in CAS 360. All right, so the next topic in this lesson, now that we've prepared your XBRL, you can now prepare your annual return as well. So some of the few things, XBRL, if you are not preparing XBRL and you have somebody else preparing that using the preparation tool by Accra, or another team member is using that, you can simply skip this exercise or this preparation, and you can just simply go to prepare your annual returns and AGM. So again, in your navigation toolbar, we will select returns, and this will automatically bring you to Singapore annual returns. And here you will see a button called Prepare Documents. So each of the company listed in the list of overdue annual returns and upcoming ones, you will see that there is this button called Prepare Documents. So if I were to select, let's say, my 14th cherry company, this is an example over here, I can simply click Prepare Documents. And again, we're going through, you've already covered this topic. Earlier on, I have changed the company status into a dormant, and therefore the questionnaire that I get in my annual return data is a dormant company related question. So you can see that whether the dormant company is exempted from audit, if whether the company financial statement has been audited, and whether and if not, usually what happens is that you can see the auditor is not there. If it's audit, you can simply add in your auditor. If not, you can just skip that. You have your company and dormant relevant company exempted. If it's yes, you can switch on the toggle button. You also have the questionnaire pertaining your AGM if it's required to do a AGM. If the company is not required to hold an AGM, let's say the AGM as a financial has been sent to members and no AGM required, you can simply select that. If the company is required or it's just simply practiced, you'll need to input the AGM meeting at which financial statements were laid. So I'll just put in today's date. And if you have any supporting documents about the financial statement, you can always upload that as well. Now, in your annual returns, the prepare annual return documents, there's another tab over here that's very important before you can even print out the documents. This is what we call the annual returns minutes data. Information that has been stored and recorded in this tab will display in your AGM Director Minutes and Resolution and AGM Members Minutes and Resolution. So it's very important that if there's any reappointment of an officer, dividends, remuneration, director's fee, or re-election of director for that company has happened, you need to make sure that this information has been recorded under the annual return minutes data. So here I'm just going to put in SGD, for example, if there's any remuneration, director's fee, and I'll just put in, let's say, re-election of the officer. If I have a director's fee, let's say I'll just put in right here. So all this information will be displayed in your AGM document. So once I've keyed in that, so I've only keyed in the director fee and resolution, the rest are empty. Simply click Save and Prepare, and this will bring me to my document production for annual returns and AGM documents. So again, you can see document production for this company. On the left-hand side will be the summary. In the summary, it shows me annual return for this company based on this financial year end date. And it will produce a set of documents, including my AGM documents. So I'm use another example. This one is not really a good example. You can see that this one is a small company exempted, as I have set this company as a small company. I'll put as yes. I'm just going to put the today's date. Over here. So today is the 16th. I'm just going to put today's date and I'll check in. So You can see that I don't have any company over here, so might not have. So use another example. Okay, over here. So this company has more officers. So you can see that it allows me to, it will show all the officers for that particular company as well. I'm just going to put one example. And if I've re-elected the same officers, and here I'll click Save and Prepare. So you can see these are the documents that will be prepared. So you've got your annual return certificate, you've got your solvency resolution if you're required to, and your resolutions for AGM. So the first resolution that I've selected will be your AGM director minutes. And you can see right over here that all the information that I have selected, whether it's a small company exempted, will be displayed in your resolution. So you can see as well that I have also disclosed the director's fee and re-election of the officers. Similarly, for your members' minutes for AGM, this will display in your members' minutes AGM as well. Now, if I'm going to go back to my AGM for this particular company, again, I can simply, again, click on Prepare Documents. And if I don't want to display this, so what will happen is that, let's say I remove this information, just to show how it will look like if there's no information recorded here. What will happen is that those information, since it has been removed from those records, it will not display in your members minutes as well. So you can see that my 10,000 remunerations, director's fee, and also the re-election has not been displayed. So sometimes you encounter this kind of cases if you're not able to disclose that in the AGM members minutes. This is because that this step has not been taken. So you have missed this part of the step, and make sure that you complete this step so that all this information will display in your AGM resolutions. All right. So once you have those documents, so I'm just gonna go back to the same company again, click Save and Prepare. You can now download the document or send the document to the client. So if you recall, you can send a download all, download the document, and if you want a reminder to the client, for example, I will always suggest to not only download all this document, but download and set a reminder sent to the client. So not only I have a copy of unsigned document, but also I can have a copy of these information right over here. But they'll also have a copy when I send a document deadline reminder. So here I'll just type in my email address as an example. and you can set the reminder with the attached documents. Now, some also prerequisite that I mentioned earlier is that you need to also make sure that your registered filing agent is assigned. So for this company's case, you will notice that these text over here, the registered office of the registered filing agent appointed by the officer, will be displayed automatically. This is to ensure that these texts will appear in your annual returns. Always make sure to check that whether the company has assigned a registered filing agent. So for this case, let me make sure. So this is a different company. Need to make sure that the filing agent has been assigned so you can get to display it in your annual returns. So this is how we generate a AGM documents. Now, just a very quick recap as well. When you exported out the AGM documents from CAS 360, it will also automatically save in the company. So we've just exported out that document. You can see still based on the 2024, it means it hasn't been prepared or accurately. And you can view the copy of that AGM document that you sent out to the client and exported out as well. If you already have the signed document sent by the client, you can simply browse. So for example, I'll just put in this document. Let's say this has been signed. Click it closed and change the status to document received. And always make sure that you'll go back to your returns tab, locate that company, for this case is CAS 360 Singapore, and mark as filed. So here I'm just going to keep it as today's date. And you will see that this company will no longer be in my list of overdue annual returns. So this is how we prepare and manage annual returns and AGM documents in CAS 360. So before I move to the next topic, any questions on this particular topic itself? So I see that there are a couple of questions, but it's not on the topic. I'm going to cover this a little bit in a while, but one of the few questions about inputting existing companies' clients. So when you have an existing client that currently right now that you have, and you want to add their information, historical information, right? So there's two ways in it. Let's say you will have an existing client, you want to put them into CAS 360. Again, the good way to do that is to purchase the business profile of the company if you want it to be seamless. Now, another option is you can simply add the new company and manually add them into the system. Generally, we always recommend the CAS 360 users to add in those information, as this information, only the CorpSec will have the record. So we don't actually provide, or rather type it in due to security and PDPA reasons. All this information has to be added into the client's, the CorpSec or the user's end. So you'll need to manually add in any historical information if this is something that you want to maintain within the software. So I hope that answers one of the questions. So you can add in, if you have existing company, you can two ways is add company or purchase the business profile. All right, so that's for AGM. Any questions specifically for um, AGM topic? So I can move to the next. Right, so the next lesson that I want to cover will be your multi-company changes. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to apply a a bulk change to companies and contacts, particularly if you are changing a registered office address or a status of officer with multiple office holdings across the companies. So this feature can be found in your multiples feature in your navigation toolbar. And this exercise in lesson 4, we're going to do two different bulk changes. One will be your registered office address change, and the other one will be resigning a officer that's holding a multiple companies. So here you will select new changes, and for change of registered address, simply go to your company address change and select registered address. So for example, you have a company that uses the same registered office address as most of other companies. So here I will select CAS 360 Singapore, and automatically it will display the current address and you can type in the new address. So I'm just going to select a new address, for example, maybe another company. And this will be a better example. So you can see that I've got my current address. I want to apply the new address. You will have few questionnaires if the premise is occupied by someone other than the company. If yes, you can just add that in. Otherwise, you can just ignore that part. And you can also toggle switch on if this registered office address change also applies to its business address, postal meeting, and register's address. If I were to put this, for example, over here, business address, I can switch on the toggle button. Otherwise, I can skip that part as well. Now, the multi-company and multi-changes also recognize whether this address over here, the 140 Upper Bukit Timah Road, is used by a company, another company, or a contact. So you can see that the system recognized that this address not only is used by Cherry Firm, but also used by two other companies and another contact stored in CAS 360. This particular step and tool is particularly useful, especially if your companies are using your CSP's registered office address as their registered office address. So this is very common when you as a CSP, you used the current address or the registered office address for your client. And if you're changing a new office, so this is a very useful tool. So there we had some few users or clients that they moved to another office and needs to prepare the change of registered office address to multiple or bulk of their clients who uses their old address as a registered office address. This is a very useful tool to use. So here I will select as it is. I can apply the change for this company if I want to apply it not only to the company, but also to the contact. So once I click proceed, the system will automatically list all the companies that needs to do the registered office address change. 250 Cecil Street. So you can see those are the companies and also the contacts as well. So here I can click on prepare forms. So you can see I have director minutes and resolution for change of address for Jenica Song. I've also got a change of registered office address of this another company. So Cherry Farm uses the same address as well to 159 Cecil Street. Another firm that uses it is Leaf Green Firm, uses the same address as well. And you can simply prepare the documents. So if I were to, again, prepare this document, and click download all. It should be downloaded. Moment, this change will apply to leave to that particular company as well. So I'm currently having some internal errors, and that's fine. So this is how we do a bulk change, office address change for bulk companies and bulk contacts. This is very common, especially if you're offering your office address to your client as a registered office address, and you need to prepare the change of address resolutions if there is a case where you need to change to another office address. So another change that you can do in our multi-company changes is what we call officers change. Here, this is a very useful tool as well if you need to resign yourself as a corporate secretary for that particular company or various companies. So let's say I will see David James as a secretary. You can select resigned. And what it does is that the system will recognize the list of companies that this particular contact is assigned or resigned a secretary to. So you can see I don't have enough. I only had one company. So maybe I'll select another example over here. So this is not just limited to resignation, but also appointment. So this an example. So this contact is a secretary for these two companies. So I can just apply, proceed. So this will again do a bulk change of secretary for each of that selected firm. Similarly, if, for example, in the same tool, officers change, if I want to appoint David Lim as the new secretary for those two companies, I can simply select David Lim, appoint, click next, and this time it will select or prompt me to select the company that I want. So earlier on, that was 111 Corporate and July 2020 service. So I want to appoint a new officers for this new company. I can just simply select the contact that I wish to do a bulk appointment. And 22nd June. on 22nd July. Click proceed. So you can now see that I've resigned Veronica Tan as a secretary, and I have appointed a new one. So here, what I'm doing over here, so you can see, this is an example of what we call combined resolutions. So if I were to click prepare forms, you can see that in my director minutes and resolution, it's currently showing not only appointment of a new secretary, but also a resignation of Veronica Tan. So again, similarly, if you need to apply this change, I click download all, automatically it applies to official change. So if I were to go to that company, my current officers will be updated to the new appointed secretaries. So you can see over here, so I'm going to my just search for that company, 11 corporate, and you can see in my officers, now, my new secretary appointed is David Lim. And if I were to view the historical ones, you can see that Veronica Tan has been resigned today as the secretary as well. So this tool is a very powerful tool if you want to do a bulk change of officer's position, status, whether it's appointment, resigned, or removed. You can do a bulk change across all companies. Similarly, if you're doing a bulk change of registered office address for multiple companies, this is a very helpful tool to allow you to select multiple companies to do bulk changes. All right, so any questions so far for this particular topic? All right, if there's no questions, we'll take a very short break. And if you have any questions on this particular for this session, do post it. I will try to have a look at and answer your queries or answer your questions on certain topics as well. So we'll do a very short break, so 10 minutes. Just do a quick one over here. So for those to remind you of. So do a 10 minutes break. If you have any questions, kindly post. We'll come back in after 10 minutes. All right, I hope everybody is back from our short break. So we will commence to our lesson number 5 in in our level 2 session. So I'm going to be covering the digital signing in CAS 360. All right, so going back to my CAS 360 dashboard. Now, CAS 360 has the ability to seamlessly change the status of your documents through digital signing. So there's a lot of things that you can automate with the use of your digital signing account integrated onto CAS 360. Now, there are a few requisite information as well with digital signing. So first thing is that with digital signing, we've partnered with only few solutions at the moment. That includes your Adobe Sign, your Few Signs, Please Signed, and DocuSign. So these integration with 4 digital signing partners allow you to do a two-way integration. So what does that mean is that it will push data information and notification with between 2 software solutions. Fortunately, currently we only have these integration with these partners at the moment. The other signing partners that requested, like the ones with Dropbox Sign, for example, we don't have integration as at the moment they didn't have any responded from them. So it really depends on whether or not the digital signing software would like to allow us to integrate with them. So for this case, these are the four signing digital signing partners that agreed to have a integration of our software to their software as well. So to assign your digital and setup, first you need to make sure that you have purchased one of these digital signing platforms. So this is not part of your license. You need to make sure that you create a license account, a separate license account with this digital signing platform. And to do that, you can simply go to your integration, app switcher, integrations. If you already have your digital signing already ready, you've already purchased that, you can simply go to the apps, connected apps, go to your BGL marketplace. I think this one over here, select digital signing, and simply go to the settings. So I've got over here, if I were to go back to my list of digital signings, you can see that 2 of a digital signing accounts is linked to my CAS 360. One is my Adobe, my DocuSign. The other one is ViewSign. So you don't have to have multiple signing account. You can choose one of them. To link up your digital signing account, you can simply go to your options over here, your settings, and you can see right over here, for example, my ViewSign, it has already been connected to my CAS 360. If you haven't connected your signing platform account, simply go to connect. And this will bring you to the page of the digital signing platform to log in. Now, few things that I need to also take note when it comes to digital signing is that you want to make sure that you purchased a correct account with them. So I'm going to give you the list. So I'll be sending a link to the webinar chat. So this is to give you a bit of idea of what to purchase and what's the summary, what's the best what is recommended, for example, over here. So I'll give you an example. What recommended digital signing to purchase. So this link will give you a bit of an overview of what each of the digital signing can accommodate when you integrate with CAS 360. So here for FuSign, for example, for DocuSign, for example, you will need to make sure that you have DocuSign license advanced solution with embedded signing. And if you want to find out more, what kind of, if you're using the correct license account, you can simply reach out to the DocuSign. I would recommend actually to reach out to DocuSign account manager or to the sales personnel itself if they have, because this particular solution, for example, exclusive to connected vendors, like for example, CAS 360. So this is exclusively only available for a special softwares that connected to them. So we have advanced solutions and comes along with the business role. If you're using a standard account, you will not be able to link up that digital signing standard account with CAS 360. It has to have advanced solutions and also with Business Pro. It's much more a premium licensed software. So a few things that I wanted to share as well. I'm going to share this content in the webinar chat. This is to help you decide which software solution that you like to purchase when it comes to digital signing. So each of the digital signing have a different way to connect. So do have a look at that as well. Now, going back to my CAS 360, so I've already connected 2 of the digital signing solutions onto my CAS 360. And you can see that under my settings, electronic signing, under electronic signing integration, you can see that DocuSign and FuSign has been linked up to my CAS 360 account. Over here as well, it will also show to me which digital signing platform is set as a default. So my set default is DocuSign. So every time I enable my digital signing feature in my document production, it will automatically use my DocuSign account instead. So we'll do an example of how a digital signing process works within CAS 360. So here, I will just select, maybe a good example will be your AGM documents. I'll use one of the AGM documents over here. I think. All right, so do an example of these AGM documents. So this can apply to all documents as well. Click Save and Prepare. And you can see over here that each of the document will have these particular sign icon over here. When you see this asterisk, this indicates that the digital signing has been switched on. So in your document production, the system will automatically recognize that you have synced up your digital signing. To control your digital signing options, you can simply go in your document production under electronic signing and adjust your setting. Whether email signer completes the signing document pack, whether you require a SMS as a 2FA. If you require an SMS as a 2FA, you need to make sure that you have the contact numbers of the signing partners. And you can also whether you want to display all the signers in the email. So just simple do this as it is. So it's also different, a little bit different with view signed. It's quite similar here. We'll leave it as it is. And again, if you don't want this to be included to be digitally signed, you will just switch off this. You can switch off this toggle button. Now, once I've set up or selected my preferred digital signing under my electronic signing options, instead of clicking download all, so you don't really download the document with the digital signing link, what you'll need to select is select send all instead. All right. Now, once you link send all, this will automatically put in the email address of the person that requires to sign the document. You can see this is my customized email template. And instead of sending a attached document of PDF, you can see right over here, review documents. There's a review documents button that will appear in the email of the client, and the client can simply click this button to do a digital signing. So here I'm just going to put that in. Now, a very quick tip, if you want to know how the email sent by Castries to look like in an inbox format in your inbox, you can simply CC your email just to be safe, or BBC as well. So click send. This will send to your client's email with the digital signing. So I should be receiving an email, right, to sign a document. So I'm just going to open one of my emails to show how it look like. All right. So you'll see over here that I've got my digital signing switched on. I send it to the client right here. And I can simply click review documents. So I hope everybody can see. So you can see on the review documents. So I think that was that document over there. I can simply click on as a signing person. I can simply click review the documents. And here it will prompt me to sign the document as well. So here I'm going to just select as a signing partner. It will show to me which area I need to sign. Example over here, I'm just going to select Sean Mary Ann. I'm just going to adopt this as well. Click finished. So Mary Ann has already signed this document. And I can choose whether to email me a signed copy or download the copy. So if I were to refresh my CAS 360, I will get a notification that this particular person, Mary Ann, has signed the document digitally. Similarly, if I were to go back to that email, there's another signing person who needs to sign. And again, review the document. So this is another person that needs to sign the document. Click finished. And again, I will receive an option whether to email that signed copy or download it. So as the service provider, if I were to refresh my CAS 360 or simply a couple of seconds, I received a notification from the digital signing partner that one of my signing partner has signed the document. So you can see over here, I have Mary Ann Chong signed the document earlier, followed by Jennifer signed it earlier. It was signed on 4:12 p.m. The other one signed it at 4:14 p.m. And if you look at another option over here, you can see that this full set of documents has been digitally signed. So if I were to click view, this will bring me to the specific folder where my signing partners have digitally signed a document. So for DocuSigned, they will usually send you a certificate of completion. This to give you a record on when it was digitally signed, the timestamps, and a digitally signed copy of that annual returns documents and AGM documents. So once I close that, you will see that the power of digital signing is that not only that it saves the digital signed copy onto your folder inside CAS 360, you will also automatically change the status of the document to digitally signed by the client on the day that you have completely signed the document. So you can see, if you recall how to view the history of the document, you can simply go to Options, History, and it will show to you when it was prepared, when it was signed to the client, and when was the document signed digitally by two of the signing partners. So this simple tool or simple process will cut down the amount of time chasing the client for digitally signed or the signed copy by using the power of digital signing integration within CAS 360. All right, so any questions so far for digital signing? All right. So if not, I'm going to go to our next topic, lesson number 6, on the topic of settings. Now, the content on the topic of settings can be found on your page 55 of the manual. This topic is a little bit more heavier on the content side, as this will cover more on how we can customize your look and feel of your documents, the content of your emails that sends from CAS 360 to the clients. We're also going to learn how to adjust your email settings, and lastly, how to adjust and set a automated deadline reminders in your settings. So here in your settings tool, you can find different types of features that you can adjust or change the settings. In settings, this is where you set up your agents as well. If you recall, in our level 1, you can set up your registered filing agents. This is particularly very, very important. You just simply add in your corpus information, and when you start onboarding the client, make sure to assign your corpus as the registered filing agent within the general details of a company. Now here, before I cover the document templates, the first thing I want to cover is what we call the email template setting or email settings. So email settings allows you to adjust how the documents or how emails get sent through to your client. So here you have an option whether you want to display your full username into your client's email. So for example, if I were to go to one of my emails earlier on and give you an example, you can see right over here that because I've set my full username, so your username will be your full name, to display into the email of my client. So if I were to go to, let's say, assume that this is my inbox, you can see that it will display my full name. By default, it will show as no reply at CAS 360, but you can display your full name into the email address. Now, there's an option for you to amend this part. I'm going to go in that in a second. Now, if you recall also when you're doing a document review, when the reviewer approves the document that one of the preparer has prepared, it will automatically get sent to the client's email. The email will be by default the username of the manager instead of the preparer. Or by default is a preparer, but you have the ability to change it to reviewer. So for example, if the manager wants it to be sent and display their username as the one sending that document that they just review, but another person reviewed those documents, you can set it as reviewer. You can also have the ability for reply all. So user's name as reply all. So going back to that email, for example, over here, if I want to reply to this document, so do an example over here. Let's say I am the client. I'll do over here. And I want to, let's say I am the client. I'm not happy with what I've seen. There's some errors. I can simply click reply. It will automatically change to my email. So it's not going to send to no reply at CAS 360, will automatically send to my email instead. So to enable that, simply switch on this toggle button. So username as the reply to, so that automatically when the client replies to that automated email, it gets sent out to your email address instead. Another quick tip here also with the email setting is that if you want to see how it will display in the inbox of your client, you can by default CC your email address within the email settings. Similarly, you can choose to BCC it if you don't want your email address to be displayed. Now, quite often, some few people or some few teams, they like their email address to be changed from no reply to their own domain email, like their own company email. To do that, you can simply request for email address to be sent across so that instead of no reply appearing to the email sent to the client, it will appear your company's email instead. The customization of email will cost about $500. This because this is not something that within CAS 360 itself. This is within the AWS. So we will have to request AWS to change the email domain sent to the client. As you know, our web services that we work with is with Amazon Web Services. Now, very important thing to take note, because the license is tagged to one account owner, it's very important to use a general email that can be accessed by all team members. So for example, if you have a department or a general email that you use to send all the inquiries or to access any inquiries coming through to your teams, let's say corpsec@bglcorp.com.au, for example, instead of my email, I would choose corpsec, the general email. This because this email is linked to different departments, or rather your different team members. If different team members have access to this particular general email, this would be a good way to access as well or receive email coming from clients, replying to, or they know that you've sent it across to the client. So I would suggest using the general email of your firm as the custom email rather than just one single individual email domain. So that's for email settings. Now in settings as well, you have the ability to adjust the email templates. So as you know that the emails that you send across to your client can be customizable. So things like, for example, over here, you can see this content right over here. This information can be customizable. You can add in your signature for your clients to recognize that this is sent to you. And you have much more custom text or body of the email template sent to your client through CAS 360. To do that, simply go to the email templates and you will see by default, it will select Singapore. We do have other jurisdictions as well. But for this exercise, we'll use Singapore. And you can customize whether it's document deadline reminders, document prepared, AGM document, and so on. So for example, annual returns over here, this is you got a system default. So system default, you're not allowed to delete this. This is not something that you can delete. So what you can do is create your own template. To create new templates, it will open up a new template for you to customize, and you can just simply remove the text. So my default right now is this version. So here, I'm just going to delete this one so I don't have any. So you can delete that if this is not something that you like to use. So this is my current system default right now. You can see that I have customized my text. This is my system default. It's a little different. And you can see that if I were to compare my text, it's very similar over here, as this is a digital signing one. So I'm going to select another one. I'm going to close right over here. These ones. This is an example. You can see the text are very similar to the ones that's sent to the client. So if I were to customize this, I can simply add in a different text. Let's assume this one, you can see it's a different, it looks a little bit different. I want to add in this, my annual review, returns. So these are what we call codes. So when you're customizing within CAS 360, you're able to insert what we call merge fields. The merge fields are codes that will call out data from your database stored in your company profiles and populate it within your text paragraph. So for this case, annual return year. So if you have, for example, sending it to ABC company and you have the annual return year recorded into the general details company dates of ABC company, it will display the annual return year date. So here I will just simply just going to change and adjust this this over here. You can change the font size. I'm just going to put the client name and your return. If I want to add in additional text, you can do so as well. You can choose to make it a default update or not. Otherwise, you can just remove that. If you want a much more multiple digital signing, you can simply create new. You see that I have a version 3 over here. My version 3 is totally different. And you can see the big difference in the text paragraph. I have, instead of client, I wanted to display the client's last name. And I've added in the text, additional text here. So I'll just bold that in, make it bold. You can also copy and paste your for your signature if you wish to. I'll just lift the name of it there. Add in here. Just so you can see how it looks like. So in the default settings, it doesn't have the company name and company number. So what I've done is I added in these codes. Now, where do I get these codes? So essentially, when you are going through the whole support process, you will have this in Singapore Help Guide under what we call CAS 360 Dictionary. This is a very useful resource when you're getting started with customization, as this allows you to insert merge fields codes within your email templates or documents. So I'm going to share this link as well, so that this is to help you go through the different types of useful codes to insert and ready for you to customize both your email templates and documents. As currently we are customizing email templates, we're going to select email template as the option. And in this section, it will list down which emails that you can customize for Singapore. So here, what we're doing right now is we're customizing a digitally signing annual return email template. So you can see right now that it will list down all the codes that I can use within this template. Now, something to take note when it comes to customizing, these codes are not completely dynamic at the moment. These codes are exclusively for each assigned document or email template. Reason being is because the system currently right now, it has a sort of a certain categorization method and categories to recognize which code represent which templates. So for example, here, can have my company name. You can see over here, the annual return of, let's say, this company name. I want it to be displayed. And again, I'll go back to my digital signing email template. I want to add in the UN number as well. So my text is bold. Just put it as bold. So that when I send a AGM a digital signing annual returns, it will display this code. So we're going to test it out in a second. I've got my link over here. Right. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to click on update. So now I'll have another version 2 of my digital signing annual returns. And I can choose this as my default. So now it's set as default. Let's do an example of one of the annual returns. So here I'm just going to select one company to prepare annual returns. And just quickly click prepare that document. And again, because I need to use my digital signing and that particular template is for digitally signed annual returns, I will have to select send all for this to work. So you can see the name, the annual returns, the name of the company, and the company number will appear. So if I were to send it directly, I will receive an email with that content and with that email template. And it will display not only my company name, but also my UN number. So you can also preview, if you remember, you can preview what was the document that's sent to the client by simply going to the message outbox. You can see that this has been sent to this particular recipient and also another recipient as well. So if I were to go to my email, right over here, you can see in my email, it will show last name, Moonlight. I think this one doesn't have a company number. That's why it doesn't show up. But essentially, it will display this information. So this is how we customized email templates in CAS 360. Now going back to my settings, now that we've go through the email templates, we are now going through how to customize system documents provided in CAS 360 under your document templates. Now, the document templates provided by CAS 360 has its own system default layout, right? As much as we can, we want to be able to accommodate to all the different layouts. Unfortunately, the system have a set format and layout that's already programmed within the software. However, you can actually customize the templates, including particularly on the body text of the resolution and documents. And in CAS 360 Singapore, you can find and locate all the categories of documents that you can customize. So under Singapore, automatically by default, it will select Singapore, and you can scroll down to see these are the documents that you can customize in CAS 360. Now, before you get started, I always recommend you to go to your help guide, select Singapore Help, and CAS 360 Dictionary, select Document Template. Under your Document Template Support Guide Help, it will list down all the list of documents that can be customizable for Singapore, and each of this category of documents will give you a specific code that you can use within that document category. So for instance, today I'm going to use a director minutes and resolution. And here in director minutes and resolution, these are the codes that I can exclusively only use for a director minutes and resolution document. These code cannot be used in your members minutes or other types of resolutions, as the system can only recognize this code specific for a document. So I'm going to open one example of my document just to show to you how a different document, customized document will look like. So going back to my CAS 360, for example, I'll type in I'll select my director minutes and resolution. This is one of the good example. So these are the system default. As you know, you cannot delete this system default. However, we do provide this document. When you first starting customizing the document, you must make sure to download the system default document first as a copy. Here you can see in my members minutes, I've got this layout over here. This is the standard director minutes and resolution. If you want a single column members minutes, you can simply download this ones instead. And you can see this is the format. So this is all the system text that's producing in your director minutes and resolution. So one of the key things that you need to take note is that because this document file is a director minutes and resolution, all the director minutes and resolution text paragraph, whether it's an appointment of officers, a shareholder change, or an AGM document, as long as it's director minutes and resolution, the paragraphs and text will be in this document. So if I go to my single columns, I'm going to open it one more time over here. You can see that I've got The director minutes and resolution text paragraph for appointment of managing director, appointment of secretaries, removal of the officers, and even for share transactions over here. Now, a very common question that you faced is customizing AGM director minutes and resolutions. These text paragraphs can be found in that Word document as well. So you'll need to scroll all the way down because, as you can see, from exempted from audit requirements, audit exemptions, the section 25B can be found there as well. The text paragraph for director minutes resolution of a dormant company exemption, all these can be found in your director minutes and resolution system template. So if you need to customize that, you can simply download that and adjust it accordingly. So what I'll do this exercise is we're gonna do just a very simple customization. I've already customized my own template, and just to show to you how it will look like from my own customization. So this is the sample of my own customized header. So right after this session, next couple of days, I'll be sending you a copy of these so that you can start practicing on customization. Essentially, what I've done in here is to change the way my header looks like. So we'll do an exercise on how we can change the way our header will look like using this document over here. So you can see that my layout here is completely different from this version. So how I went about this is the first thing is that I copied this section over here. So copy one by one, just because I want to make sure that I've added in. So these titles, I don't really require it in here. You can just copy them over here. And we're gonna add in some couple of codes and additional sentences. So I'm not gonna copy my date sign. So this normally not a lot of user wants to put in the signature. So I'll just keep it as this format. All right, so this is my company name, company numbers. As you know, in the standard customized or standard director minutes and resolution, a lot of the users practice is to use these texts over here, incorporated in Republic of Singapore. So if you already have your own system or your own custom template in your firm, you can simply copy and paste the text that you put in your header. So for in this case, I want to display this particular text over here. Similarly, the company number. So these ones as well, I want to display that. So I'll put it right next to this text over here. So since we don't put our address as well, if you don't want to put the meeting address, that is fine. You can just remove that. So I'll just remove that section there. Company name, and then you have your document name. So just leave it this as it is for now. Now, the next I want to customize in this part is I want to change these texts to an uppercase. So here, this is where my CAS 360 dictionary comes in. So I've already opened up my CAS 360 dictionary under my Director Minutes and Resolution category. And in my action, I want to change it to uppercase text to display in my document. So here I will scroll all the way at the very bottom and locate what I call miscellaneous. So under miscellaneous, we have a call that allows you to display your text into uppercase. This is not just exclusively for headers, but it can also be used under text, like for example, the company name. So in here in Singapore, we like our company name to actually display into all uppercase within the body text, right? So I'll do the uppercase, go to my document right over here and put copy and paste. Now I won't just simply copy and paste that code. I need to make sure that this code is inserted specifically in this manner, right? For it to properly change to uppercase. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my code and reinsert that. So you can see that if we do side by side to my code, for example, right over here, not sure whether I can move my Word document here. You can see it's very similar to the way I inserted those codes, right? So that this will modify my company name to display as uppercase. Now, if you want to display it as bold, you can simply use the bold features within the Word document to make it bold. Now, because the system itself, there is a very specific limitation or specific code within the tool that recognizes the Word document codes and the feature codes. So if you were to use the uppercase feature within the Word document, CAS 360 will not recognize it that way as well. There is a specific code that needs to be input for the system to recognize and tell the document that, look, you need to display this into uppercase. So it's very important that you'll use this code over here to display a text into uppercase. So the rest looks good. I want to put this as bold as well. Company, and here I want to display how I want to display my text. So this is one of a very common ones in pursuant writing the constitution of the company. So here I'm just gonna copy and paste from my old template. These are from my custom director minutes and resolutions. And because I want to display the type of document, which is a director minutes and resolution, I will not remove this text over here. It will remain as it is. Now, similar to this process, so I hope everybody can see. So similar to this process, I want these texts to appear as uppercase. You can see that this is a free text, but this one is not a free text. This is a text that I need to pull out, a data that I need to pull out from CAS 360. So what I'll do is I will use the similar code UC. And make it bold. So that's that. So that's my header. So I can adjust how I want to adjust. I can put something else. If you have your company logo, you can add in the company logo. Now we'll do a very simple change in this format over here. So let's assume I'm going to do a director minutes and resolution, appointment of director minutes and resolution. So this is an example over here. So here, when I appoint a director, I want to not just say director of the company. I want to say that consent to act as a director of the company and indicate the company's name. Right. So what I'll do is that, again, I'm going back to my CAS 360 dictionary under director minutes and resolution. And here I will find the code to call out my company name, which is this code over here. So here I will copy and paste, or you can just type it if you remember. So I'll put in this company. And I also want to put in the company number, which is my UEN. Now, again, you have an option if you want this to be uppercase. So similarly, code uppercase. For company number, you don't need to. And I want this to be bold as well. So if I have any additional text, for example, I want to add on any text over here. If there add text here. This is just to display how it will look like. I'm just going to highlight these where everybody can see. And this one again, appointed director within appointed days. So this code is essentially calling out the date of appointment of that director, including the information of that director. So again, I can simply, if I want to display it as uppercase, I can just put it uppercase. Otherwise, I can also adjust the date that the way the date displays. So here in the same category of director minutes and resolution, I can scroll all the way down and adjust the way the format of my code. So you can see over here that you have the ability to change if you want to display the date into all uppercase. So here I'm going to copy this code. Go back to my dictionary. I want it to be all uppercase. Right, so I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna have a look at one more time how everything looks. All right. So I need to make sure that everything looks good. And I'll do this as bold as well. So all this is uppercase. So the date of appointed director's date appointed will be uppercase in bold. I'm happy with that text. Now, what I'll do is I'll save this template to today's version. Today is 16th October. And click save. Now, I'll close this particular document and I'll go back to my CAS 360. So here, again, we'll go to the settings, document template, search director minutes and resolution category. So you can see right over here, select this category and upload your custom template. So once you've uploaded, you can now assign this template to your as a system default. So whenever you generate a director minutes and resolution, anything that you have adjusted within this particular document will then display onto your documents. So here I'm going to set it as system default. And I'm going to select one of our companies. So we'll do 14 Cherry Team and just a very simple reprinting of a director. So you can see that this is the document. And when I preview the document, it will display the text, that the customized system text that we have just added. So here you can see I've got I've managed to display the company name and the UN number and display it as uppercase and bold the text to display with the date of appointment display as all uppercase. So every time I generate a director minutes and resolution, so we'll do another one from another company. For example, I'm going to select another company and I'll do the same process as well, just simply appointing a officer. Or appoint James. And again, similarly, because it's a system default, that template will appear. Now, if you have multiple templates for a director minutes and resolution, you can always save it again under your settings and director minutes and resolution category. So here you can upload as many custom templates as you want. I'm just going to upload one of my templates. So you can have as many templates as possible. You can set one of the default system default. This is what we've customized. If I want to set this as my system default, this will be the system default across all director minutes and resolution. Now, going back to here, as you recall that every time you produce a document, we have this option button right over here. Now, in this option button, you can see that when you scroll the way down, you have the ability to select the template to apply for this transaction. So let's say this company, I don't want to use my system the default, my custom template default that I've selected. I want to select another template. Let's say I want to use the CAS 360 version. So I can simply click saved and you can see that this template will use another format. Now, one of the questions was quite asked and earlier asked is, how do we download the Word documents from CAS 360? So you can download the documents by simply going to the Option tab and selecting Export Document to Word. This process is very specific for this specific document. And the only thing is that it will take quite a while. So you can see this is the template. And usually what happens is that if, for example, you want to create or you want to upload your own template that's not customized within CAS 360, you can simply upload your Word document. Let's say this is my Word document. I'm going to just select one of the downloaded files. Let's say I have these texts over here. I have a custom text for this company only. For example. So click saved, right? And close that. So if you want to upload or use your own template that generated by your own, it's not uploaded onto the CAS 360, what you'll need to do is first you need to upload, you're gonna upload your own version of your template. All right. And what you'll notice, because this is an external document, you will not be able to customize it further. This is an external document. The system doesn't recognize or automatically create settings for a template that the system is not designed or the system doesn't recognize completely. It recognizes a system as an external document. So because this director minutes and the solution that you've customized, you can simply switch off what the software produces. And when you download the document, you can see that that attached document will be included in your document pack over here. So something to take note in this process, the only thing with this process is that if I were, for example, do that same appointment again for that particular transaction, let's say that was a appointment of an officer, because it's external document, you'll see that it's no longer there. So you will have to upload the document again. So this is the much more tedious process if you want your specific document template to appear. You can see you'll have to upload your system default and just switch off that document. And then download or send to the client. So you have to keep re-uploading your system default. And also what to take note is that because it's an external document, it doesn't recognize the codes that you have added in. So these are text that it's manually done. Any records or data that you have recorded in CAS 360 will not be extracted and populate into this document. So this is a very manual process as well. Right, so that's pretty much how we customize documents in CAS 360. So at the end of the training this month, we will be sending you a copy of your custom. We have what we call the custom template for director minutes and resolutions, and also members minutes. You can start using that as your base template and upload it in your document templates. All right. So I have a questions on particularly in this how to add document templates onto CAS 360. So again, a recap on document templates. You can just simply go to your document templates. If it's director minutes and resolution, locate this category as director minutes and resolution. Here, simply click on upload. And you need to make sure that this template that you're uploading, it comes with your codes coming from CAS 360s, because that if, for example, I upload a standard text or standard Word document onto the system, all right? It doesn't have the quotes over here. For example, company name and all that. You didn't change, you put in the name of the company, for example, but you didn't insert the code to pull out the code, to pull out this, for example, company name onto your document. What will happen is that every time you generate a director minutes and resolution, you will see that you will have a discrepancy in your code, in your document. If this template shows ABC company and you attach it to all across company, every time you prepare a director minutes and resolution, there will be a text ABC company at this content, even if you're preparing for another HIJ company, for example. So you need to be extra careful with this. You want to make sure that when you're customizing and uploading documents, the custom template that you're using already has inserted, or you've already customized it using our merge field codes from this dictionary. So I'll send you, I sent this link over here, so for everybody can use, and you can start using that. So again, uploading it is under your direct document templates. Depending on which template you're customizing, you can select the category. Any AGM director's resolution can be uploaded in director's minutes and resolution category. If it's an AGM members, you will need to select members minutes over here. You need to save it under members minutes instead of other location. All right, so that's for director minutes document templates using a sample of director minutes and resolutions. Now, another custom template that we can do in CAS 360 is freeform, but I'm going to talk to you in a bit for a while. So to close off this particular topic is the settings. Settings also allows you to do a bulk reminder using our automated reminders. So under the settings, you have this tab over here called automated reminders, and you can select to do and create a bulk AGM reminder sent to your client from CAS 360. Here you will select AGM reminder, and when you're first starting, you will see that the feature will look something like this. To enable this particular feature, simply switch on the toggle button, and then you can see that it will allow you to set a reminder up to 6 reminders. You can set up to 90 days, 60 days, or 30 days, for example. So here, this is an example. I set up a AGM reminder to send to all my clients 90 days before, and I can do based on financial year end date or AGM date. I can also set the time that I want this reminder to be sent to the client. And again, if you recall the AGM templates, if you want a custom email to appear in your client's inbox, you can customize this under email template in the AGM annual general meetings reminder category. So I have different ones. I've got also before AGM due before financial year end date. So it really depends on how you want to customize it. AGM reminder, if you want another right here, you can just like that, click save, and I've saved up to 6. So 90 days before AGM due, your client will receive a reminder from CAS 360 itself. Now, a good practice is that before you even set up these, make sure that all the companies in your CAS 360s has an updated financial year end date and AGM due date. Again, just a refresher, to make sure to update or maintain the key dates. This can be found under your general details, under company dates. So you can see over here that I have an example. I've got an old financial year end date. It's already 2025. I should have this with a date that is much more accurate. Therefore, no reminder will be sent to a date that already passed. You need to make sure that the financial year end dates and AGM dates are future dates. Otherwise, it will not send to an old date. So going back to your settings, automated reminder. So that is for the AGM. If you want to generate for the annual returns, this can be found under your document reminder. So in document reminder, you have options on your document deadline, whether it's based on the 30 days. And you also have another tab called annual returns, confirmation statements. Similarly, in the Singapore jurisdiction, you will need to switch on this toggle button to enable for you to adjust the settings. I've got over here 30 days reminder. So 30 days before my annual return, can remind the client about the annual return deadlines. If they haven't really set up the financial statements and all that, you can just let them know 25 days, 10 days, and 2 days, and so on. All right. So hope that answers some of the questions. So that's for the automated reminder. Again, this can be found in your settings tool. Now, the last topic I want to cover for level 2 is this feature called freeform documents. Freeform document allows you to add in document templates or documents that are not produced by CAS. There are some templates, for example, agreement form, any onboarding form, all that, AML, your CDD, if you have your own template for that. We do have the AML CDD. I'll show it to you in a bit. But if you have your own process documents that's not a standard document produced by CAS 360, you can add them in freeform. Now, to add your freeform document, simply click in freeform document, and first you will need to create the freeform template. Here you'll need to first add in your document title. So I'm gonna use as agreement form, contract, for example, and you can create whether it's members, a resolution format, letters, and so on. So by selecting this type of document style, the system will automatically create a header for you. Okay, so do an example over here. If I were to select letter, and this is over here, contact type, you can add in agreement form, engagement agreement form. I'll just put in a text over here. You can just add in any text just to add in. And what you'll see is because I selected a letter format, it will automatically create the header for me. I have my document date, the full name, the contact's address, and the full name of that particular contact. And you can see your username, your full name, and then your firm name. Now, if you do not wish to have this format, you have a different format style out of, and you don't want the ones CAS 360, what you can do is in this section over here, details, you can simply select freeform documents. Selecting freeform documents, add in, copy and paste your own formats for the additional headers, additional text. And what it will show you is essentially a freeform layout. So you can see over here that whatever you have added in into this text box, it will display exactly. So anything that you copy paste in to this section over here in the content, it will display into your document. So now that I have set up a sample document, I can either click save or save and proceed. So you can see that this document is saved under my contact freeform document category. So here I'll go to my freeform documents. So let's assume that I want to generate a freeform, an agreement form for new client. So this time, because I've already created and saved it in my freeform document, freeform templates, I can now prepare and use that template. Here I'll select prepare freeform and simply select the type of freeform template I've just created earlier on. So now what I'll do is I have all this template, simply click Save, Proceed. And this will prompt you to select which company that you want to apply this freeform. So because this is in a contact level, let's say I'll put in Jenica Song. You can see that Jenica's this is the document that you have copy and paste. Anything that you've copied and paste in freeform selected to Jenica Song will be populated over here. So something I also want to highlight in this freeform documents, in freeform documents, when you click prepare freeform, you also have the ability to locate the change of financial year end document. So this is a system default already created. It's not part of the workflow. It's safe under financial the freeform documents. So if you are going through a change of financial year end date, this can be found under freeform. Click next, and you can see this is a system default. You can add additional text over here. Click next. And you can see system default, it will create that as well. So what you also notice that is that this is the system director minutes and resolution layout pulling out for this particular format. So if you want to customize, you can see your director and minutes resolution layout. You can simply edit or rather you can simply download this format and change this into the system. So let's do an example. I'm going to do the same process earlier on, just so you can show to you how to customize and applying the change of financial year end date. I'm just going to simply copy and paste this whole layout over here. So I'm going to remove these ones. And save. Well, let's save this as layout 16 October. So I'll just close my documents, and here again, the same format. I want to upload my custom template. You can see over here, I'll set this as my set as default. And going back to my preparing the change of financial year end date, I'll select prepare a free form, change of financial year end date. This is my body text. And for here, I could just simply select my system default Singapore. And click proceed. So if I were to click and preview, change the financial year and date, you can see that this is my layout. My the layout for my changed of financial year and date has been changed. This is the layout, the system default layout. The text is over here. I didn't change any of the text, so you can see right over here. But you can see that even the header has been changed as well. So just remember, if you want to change the header layout similar to your director minutes and resolutions layout in your settings, make sure that in your freeform template, go to your category as director minutes and resolution layout, upload your version of your director minutes and resolution layouts, and you can set it as system default. All right. So I have a question. So do we have to go to Australia jurisdiction to prepare freeform? No. This feature is particularly for all jurisdiction. So if you go to the freeform and you prepare, you can see that there's apply all jurisdictions, and you have the ability to select which jurisdiction that you like. If from the beginning, let's say I do my change, or use the same example as my change of financial year end. Right, so system default already selects Singapore, as this does not really apply for. If you want to remove Hong Kong, you can just remove Hong Kong, add your text, add text here, preview, go to my preview again. I want to set my, I want to see, use this template, the one that we've just customized and uploaded. Make sure the jurisdiction is in Singapore if you want to use the Singapore format, and click proceed. All right. So hope that answers the question. So any more questions on the freeform documents? All right. Okay, so this is the end of the level 2 session for CAS 360 Singapore training level 2. Now I'll be sharing these document templates as a dummy template for you to test out, upload in your settings so you can start customizing. I've also shared a couple of useful links in your webinar chat for you to explore and start using the system templates and also using our system codes. We call it the merge fields to insert in your Word document before uploading that document into your settings document template. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know as well. If you do have any questions, I'll put my email address into the webinar chat. Alternatively, you can reach out to our support chats, live chat, or the support team if you want some guidance on your CAS 360. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening ahead.